Hello Year 6, my name is Miss Morgan and I'm one of the English teachers here at Moor Park. I'm also one of the assistant head teachers. I'm really pleased that I'm able to say hello to you and that you have the opportunity to complete some work that will give you a little flavour of what English lessons at Moor Park are like. Our mini lesson today is based on a story called The Coming of the Immortals, which is a story you will read in Year 7. And is all about the creation of the ancient Greek gods and the myths and legends that are written about them. These myths and legends are thousands of years old and are the basis of inspiration for many modern day tales. First of all, I'm going to read you a short extract from the story, all about the creation of the gods and their superhuman powers and abilities. And afterwards, I will ask you to think about creating your own superhuman character. With all the breathtaking beauty of Greece around them, it is hardly surprising that the ancient Greeks felt that the mountains and the valleys, the woods and the streams, the very sea itself, were peopled by immortals. There were wood nymphs amongst trees and water nymphs in the rivers. Fairies of human size who did not die and had powers which mortals do not possess. There were sea nymphs too, mermaids, though not all of them had tails, and strange sea beings who might be cruel and fierce, just as the sea was fierce and cruel when the storms arose. And the sea must have a king, more powerful even than the nymphs, the immortal called Poseidon, who might come up through the waters in his chariot drawn by white horses, waving his trident, the three-pronged spear on which was his sceptre, or sign of power. On land, there were also immortal powers. Apollo, shining like the sun, who was the lord of music and poetry. Artemis, the huntress, who was guarded all wild things. Fierce Ares, the warlord, whose terrible shout might ring across the battlefield when the spears were flying and the swords of bronze or iron clanged on the shields and helmets. Athena, immortal lady of wisdom, the kind mother goddess Demeter, who caused the corn to grow and the young lambs to be born, with her lovely daughter Persephone, who had to spend half the year in the kingdom of the dead when the dark winter spread over the earth. There was Aphrodite, immortal lady of beauty and love, with Eros, her son, who shot the invisible arrows that made a young man or young girl fall in love. There was Hermes of the winged heels, swift messenger, more cunning than any human. There was Dionysus, who gave such power to the grapes that they could be brewed into wine to be a joy and a comfort to mankind. And there was the quiet Hestia, lady of the home and garden of the hearth. For the hearth was the heart of the home in the days when fire was difficult to make. All these and more were the immortals, and their powers were great. But they too must surely obey laws and have a ruler set over them. And this was Zeus, the king of heaven and of earth, who wielded the thunderbolt and was father of mortals and of immortals. And his queen was Hera, lady of marriage and guardian of children. Zeus had power over all immortals, though he seldom exercised it over his brothers, Poseidon, lord of the sea, and Hades, lord of the dead, whose kingdom of shadows was thought to be beneath the earth. The Greeks called these immortals the gods and worshipped them, making sacrifices to them at their particular shrines. Zeus at Olympia, Apollo at Delphi, Athena at Athens, and so on. When they began to tell the stories about them, they had very little idea of what gods should be, and quite naturally pictured them as very like themselves, but much more powerful, more beautiful, and more free. Nor did it seem wrong to the Greeks to imagine that gods and goddesses could be cruel, or mean, deceitful, jealous, selfish, or even wicked, just like humans. So, what have we learned about the Greek gods from that short extract? The gods were immortal, meaning that they live forever. The immortals had powers that we humans could never have. The Immortals live both in the sea and on the land. The Immortals' power was great, but they had to obey the laws of their ruler Zeus, the king of both heaven and earth. The Immortals could be both kind and cruel, just like humans. Now we've learned a little about the ancient Greek Immortals, I would like you to think about and create your own superhuman character. You will first of all need to decide on a name for your character and decide what their powers are. Then you will need to decide where they live, whether it's on land or in sea. After that, I would like you to write a short story involving your character as a hero. If you like, you could also draw a picture of your character. I'd also like to set you a further challenge, and that is to research what modern day stories or books have been inspired by or written about the ancient Greek gods. Make a list of any you can find, there's lots of them, and bring them into school in September for your teacher to see. I've put all the information that you'll need on the slide at the end of this video, so if you pause it, all my instructions for creating your own immortal will be there. Please do bring in any work that you complete for your teacher to see in September. All that's left to say is that I hope you're all keeping safe, and I look forward to meeting you in September and welcoming you to Moore Park.